Dr. Elias Carter adjusted the thermal lining of his suit as he stepped out onto the icy surface of Europa. The year was 2147, and humanity's first permanent colony on Jupiter's moon had become a hub for scientific exploration. For Elias, a xenobiologist by trade, this was more than just a job. It was a calling. His mission was simple yet profound. Study the microbial life thriving beneath the frozen crust and uncover clues about the origins of life in the universe. The landscape around him was desolate but breathtaking. Towering ice ridges stretched toward the horizon, their jagged edges catching the faint light from Jupiter, hanging ominously in the sky above. The air, or lack thereof, was silent, save for the occasional crackle of shifting ice beneath his boots. It was a place where solitude reigned supreme, a stark contrast to the bustling research station behind him. Elias set up his scanning equipment, carefully positioning it over a fissure that emitted faint traces of heat. He worked methodically, his gloved hands steady despite the biting cold. As the machine hummed to life, its sensors began probing the depths below. But then, something unusual caught his eye. A shimmer in the distance. At first, he thought it might be a trick of the light, or perhaps an anomaly caused by the scanner's emissions. But when he turned his headlamp toward the source, what he saw made his breath hitch. There, standing at the edge of the icy plain, was a figure unlike anything he'd ever encountered. Its form was humanoid, but there was no mistaking it wasn't human. The being stood tall, its skin glowing with a soft, pulsating light that shifted between shades of blue and gold. Its features were delicate yet otherworldly, with large, almond-shaped eyes that seemed to pierce through him. What struck Elias most was how still it was. There was no movement, no gesture, just an unwavering gaze fixed directly on him. For a moment, Elias froze, unsure whether to approach or retreat. His training kicked in, reminding him to remain calm and assess the situation. "Hello," he called out, his voice trembling slightly as it echoed inside his helmet. There was no response. The figure didn't move, didn't blink. It simply stared. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Time felt distorted under that unyielding gaze. Elias tried again, this time raising a hand in a universal sign of peace. Still, nothing. The alien remained rooted to the spot, watching him with an intensity that bordered on unsettling. Was it curious, hostile, or perhaps lost? Back at the research station, Elias's colleagues would later joke about his ghost story, dismissing it as stress-induced paranoia. But Elias knew what he had seen and felt. There was something profoundly intentional about the way the being observed him, as if searching for answers only he could provide. By the time the figure finally vanished into the shadows, leaving behind only silence, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was far from over. As he packed up his gear and trudged back to the base, one question lingered in his mind. Why had it chosen him? And what did it want? The day Elias made his decision, the atmosphere at the research station was heavy with tension. He gathered his colleagues in the main lab, his hands trembling slightly as he held up the translator device. "I need to tell you something," he began, his voice uncharacteristically shaky. For the first time, he recounted everything. The glowing figure, Saren's telepathic messages, and her plea for help. To his surprise, no one laughed or dismissed him outright. Instead, they stared at him in stunned silence. "You're serious about this?" Marcus asked finally, breaking the quiet. "You're actually going to leave? Forever?" Elias nodded, his jaw tight. "It's not just about me. An entire civilization is counting on us, for humanity to step up. I can't turn my back on that." Priya crossed her arms, her expression thoughtful. "Do you even know what you're walking into? This could be dangerous. What if it's a trap?" "It's not," Elias said firmly, though doubt lingered in the corners of his mind. Saren isn't lying. Her desperation feels real. And even if there's risk, isn't that what exploration is about? Pushing boundaries, taking chances. His words hung in the air, met with reluctant nods. They understood his reasoning but couldn't hide their sadness. Over the next few days, Elias prepared for his departure, knowing it would be the hardest goodbye of his life. He wrote letters to his family, his parents, his younger sister, and recorded video messages explaining his choice. Each word felt like a weight pressing down on him, yet he refused to waver. This wasn't just his journey. It was humanity's chance to prove its potential. On the morning of his departure, the team gathered outside the station to see him off. Saren stood nearby, her luminous form casting a soft glow over the icy plains. She watched silently as Elias hugged each of his colleagues, tears streaming down their faces. When it was Priya's turn, she gripped his arm tightly. "Come back to us somehow," she whispered, "even if it's just through stories." "I'll try," Elias promised, though they both knew the odds were slim. As he approached Saren, she extended a hand, her touch surprisingly warm despite her alien appearance. "Are you ready?" she asked gently. Elias took a deep breath and nodded. Together, they walked toward her spacecraft, which shimmered like liquid metal under the dim light of Jupiter. The ship seemed alive, its surface rippling faintly as they approached. Inside, the interior was unlike anything Elias had ever seen. Smooth, organic walls that pulsed softly, as if breathing. There were no buttons or screens, only floating holograms that responded to thought commands. As the ship lifted off, Elias gazed out the window at Europa shrinking below them. His heart ached with the knowledge that he might never return, but excitement bubbled beneath the surface. During the voyage, Saren shared stories of her people, their art, music, and history. She explained how the Vailith revered creativity as much as logic, blending science with spirituality in ways that fascinated Elias. Over time, their bond deepened. Saren wasn't just an ambassador seeking aid. She was a guide introducing him to a universe far richer than he'd imagined. By the time they reached the edge of human-explored space, Elias realized this mission wasn't just about saving the Vailith. It was about bridging two worlds, proving that cooperation across species was possible. And somewhere in the vastness of the stars, Elias found hope, not just for Saren's people, but for humanity too. After what felt like an eternity cocooned within the pulsating walls of Saren's spacecraft, Elias finally caught his first glimpse of Valia. The planet emerged from the darkness of space like a jewel suspended in twilight, its skies painted in hues of deep indigo and shimmering gold. Towering crystalline trees stretched toward the horizon, their translucent leaves refracting light into dazzling rainbows. Rivers of liquid silver snaked through glowing meadows, while distant cities floated atop mountains, their structures resembling intricate sculptures carved from glass. But beneath the beauty lay signs of decay. Cracks marbled the once pristine surfaces of buildings, and some towers had collapsed entirely, their ruins scattering across the landscape. The red glow of the dying star cast long shadows over everything, a constant reminder of the looming catastrophe. As the ship descended, Elias felt a lump form in his throat. This world was breathtaking and breaking. When they landed, Saren led him to a grand assembly hall where the Council of Elders awaited. The elders were tall and regal, their bioluminescent skin shifting between calming blues and solemn purples. They greeted Elias with a mix of curiosity and skepticism, their telepathic voices layered with centuries of wisdom. One elder, identified as Caliph Asterisk, stepped forward. "Elias Carter of Earth," Caliph began, his tone measured but warm, "you honor us with your presence. Our princess has spoken highly of your courage and ingenuity." Elias bowed awkwardly, unsure how to respond. "Thank you for trusting me. I'll do everything I can to help." The council explained the situation further. Deep within Valia's core lay an ancient device created by their ancestors, a machine capable of stabilizing dying stars. However, activating it required deciphering a series of complex puzzles, encoded with abstract symbols and concepts. These puzzles were designed to test creativity, adaptability, and insight, qualities the Valith believed humans possessed uniquely. "This is why we need you," Saren interjected softly. "Your mind works differently from ours. Where we see logic, you see possibility." Over the following days, Elias dove into the task with unwavering determination. He worked alongside Valith scientists in cavernous chambers filled with glowing artifacts and holographic projections. The puzzles were unlike anything he'd ever encountered. Patterns that shifted unpredictably, riddles embedded in musical tones, and three-dimensional mazes that defied conventional physics. At times, frustration threatened to overwhelm him, but Saren stayed by his side, offering encouragement and insights whenever he hit a wall. Through their collaboration, Elias discovered remarkable parallels between human and Valith philosophies. Both civilizations valued resilience, innovation, and unity, though they expressed these ideals differently. The Valith approached problems methodically, relying on logic and tradition, while humans often embraced intuition and improvisation. Together, they formed a synergy neither could achieve alone. One evening, as they reviewed progress in a quiet chamber illuminated by soft blue light, Saren spoke candidly. "You've already given my people hope, Elias. Even if we fail, your willingness to stand with us means more than words can say." Her words struck a chord deep within him. For so long, Elias had doubted whether one person could truly make a difference. But here, among the Valith, he realized that even small actions could ripple outward, shaping destinies far beyond imagination. As the final piece of the puzzle came into focus, Elias allowed himself a moment of cautious optimism. Saving Valia wouldn't just be about stopping a dying star. It would be about forging a bond between two species bound by shared purpose. And perhaps, in doing so, humanity would take its first step toward becoming something greater than itself. Back at the research station, Elias couldn't stop thinking about the strange encounter. He replayed every detail in his mind. The glowing figure, its piercing gaze, and the eerie stillness that surrounded it. It felt surreal, like something out of a dream or an old sci-fi movie. But he knew it wasn't his imagination. The memory was too vivid, too real. Yet when he mentioned it to his colleagues during their evening briefing, they reacted with skepticism. "You've been working too hard, Elias," said Dr. Priya Mehta, the team's lead engineer, her tone laced with amusement. "Maybe you need a break. Or maybe you finally cracked under the pressure of staring at ice all day," joked Marcus, the geologist, earning a few chuckles from the group. Elias forced a smile but didn't argue. How could he explain what he'd seen? Words felt inadequate to capture the weight of the moment. Still, he couldn't let it go. Something about the figure, its presence, its silence, had left an indelible mark on him. That night, as the others settled into their routines, Elias decided to investigate further. The next morning, armed with a portable translator device and a handheld scanner, Elias ventured back to the same spot where he'd encountered the being. The icy expanse looked no different than before, barren and quiet. He scanned the area, hoping to detect any signs of life, but the readings were inconclusive. Just as doubt began to creep in, a soft glow appeared on the horizon. It was her. The alien stood at the same distance as before, her luminous skin pulsing gently. This time, however, she took a step forward. Elias froze, unsure whether to retreat or stay put. Summoning his courage, he raised the translator device and spoke slowly. "Who are you?" For a moment, there was only silence. Then, without warning, a wave of sensations flooded his mind. Images, emotions, fragments of thoughts. It was overwhelming yet strangely coherent. He saw flashes of stars, vast oceans, and towering cities bathed in golden light. He felt curiosity, urgency, and something akin to hope. And then, a single word echoed in his thoughts. *Saren*. "I'm Saren," came a voice, not spoken aloud but resonating directly within his consciousness. Her telepathic communication was halting, as if she were learning to bridge the gap between their species. Elias stumbled backward, nearly dropping the translator. "You can talk?" he managed to ask, his voice trembling. "In a way," Saren replied, her mental tone calm but deliberate. "Your kind, difficult to reach." Her words were fragmented, but Elias understood enough to realize this wasn't just a random meeting. She had sought him out for a reason. "Why me?" he asked cautiously. "What do you want?" Saren hesitated, her glowing form flickering slightly. "Help," she said simply. "My people need help." Elias's mind raced. Help? From him? What could he possibly offer to an advanced alien being? Before he could press her for more details, she stepped back, her form beginning to fade into the icy mist. "Wait," he called out, but she was already gone, leaving behind only the faint hum of energy in the air. When Elias returned to the station, his thoughts were a whirlwind of questions. Who, or what, was Saren? What did she mean by help? And why had she chosen him specifically? Despite the uncertainty, one thing was clear: this wasn't over. Whatever Saren wanted, it was important enough for her to cross galaxies and stare at him for hours to make contact. As he sat alone in his quarters, staring at the translator device in his hands, Elias realized his life might never be the same again. Days turned into weeks as Elias waited anxiously for Saren's return. His routine at the research station became mechanical, analyzing microbial samples, attending briefings, and maintaining equipment. But his mind was elsewhere. Every time he stepped outside, he scanned the horizon, hoping to catch a glimpse of her glowing form. Meanwhile, his colleagues grew increasingly concerned about his behavior. "Elias, you're acting like you've seen a ghost," Priya remarked one evening over dinner. "If there's something bothering you, just say it." He hesitated, unsure how much to share. How could he explain that an alien princess had entrusted him with the fate of her people? Instead, he forced a smile and shrugged. "It's nothing. Just thinking too much." Finally, on a cold, quiet morning, Saren appeared again. This time, she didn't keep her distance. She walked right up to him, close enough for Elias to see the intricate patterns swirling across her skin like living constellations. Her presence radiated warmth despite the freezing temperatures, and her telepathic voice filled his mind with clarity. "We have little time," she said urgently. "My people need your help now." Elias swallowed hard. "I told you, I'm not qualified for this. I don't know anything about stars or saving planets." "You misunderstand," Saren replied. Through the translator device, images began to flood his thoughts. Ancient machines buried deep within her planet's core, glowing symbols etched into stone, and vast networks of energy flowing like rivers. Our ancestors built devices to stabilize dying stars. But activating them requires solving puzzles tied to creativity and insight. Humans possess these qualities in ways my people do not. Elias stared at her, stunned. "You want me to solve some kind of alien puzzle?" "Yes," Saren confirmed. "But more than that, I ask you to come with me, to Valia." For a moment, Elias thought he hadn't heard her correctly. "Come with you, to your planet." He shook his head, incredulous. "That's impossible. Do you even realize what you're asking?" Saren's expression softened, though her resolve remained firm. "I understand the burden of my request. The journey will take decades, even with faster-than-light travel. You may never see Earth again. But if you refuse, my people and everything we are will perish." Her words hit him like a tidal wave. Decades. Never returning home. The enormity of her request left him reeling. Yet as he looked into her luminous eyes, he saw desperation mingled with hope. She believed in him, in humanity, to save her world. Back at the station, Elias wrestled with the decision. He confided in Priya, who listened quietly before speaking. "This sounds insane, Elias. But if it's real, can you live with yourself knowing you turned away when they needed help?" Her question lingered in his mind. That night, he sat alone in his quarters, staring at the translator device. Images of Siren's homeworld flashed in his memory. The glowing forests, the crystalline oceans, the dying star casting its ominous glow. Could he really walk away from such beauty? From lives depending on him? By morning, he had made up his mind. When Siren returned, he nodded firmly. "I'll go with you, but I need to tell my team first." Siren's relief was palpable. "Thank you, Elias. Together, we will save my people." As they prepared for departure, Elias felt a mix of fear and excitement. Leaving behind everything he knew would be the hardest thing he'd ever done, but also the most meaningful. Whatever lay ahead, he was ready to face it. Over the next few days, Elias found himself returning to the icy plains of Europa almost obsessively. Each time, he brought more equipment, better scanners, recording devices, and even a small drone to capture footage in case Siren appeared again. His colleagues noticed his preoccupation, but dismissed it as another one of his scientific obsessions. No one believed him when he mentioned seeing an alien figure. They assumed he was pushing himself too hard or letting isolation get the better of him. But Elias didn't care. He knew what he had experienced, and he was determined to understand it. On the fourth day, Siren returned. This time, she seemed less hesitant, taking slow, deliberate steps toward him. Her glowing form shimmered faintly against the stark white backdrop of Europa's ice fields. Elias held up the translator device, hoping it would help bridge their communication gap. To his surprise, the device began emitting soft peeps and flashes, sensing with her telepathic signals. It wasn't perfect, but fragments of meaning started to emerge. "I am Siren," she repeated, her voice resonating in his mind like a melody. "Of the Veileth." "The Veileth," Elias echoed, struggling to pronounce the unfamiliar word. "Are you from another planet?" "Yes," Siren confirmed. Through the translator, she projected images of her homeworld, a breathtaking realm bathed in perpetual twilight, with glowing forests and crystalline oceans. The visuals were accompanied by emotions: pride, nostalgia, sorrow. Elias could feel her longing for a place that seemed both wondrous and fragile. But then the tone shifted. The images turned darker: crumbling cities, barren landscapes, and skies tinged red with destruction. A dying star loomed ominously in the background, its light flickering like a candle about to go out. Siren's mental voice grew urgent. "Our star dies. My people cannot survive." Elias's heart sank as he pieced together her message. The Veileth, an advanced civilization, were facing extinction because of their dying sun. They had been searching for allies across the galaxy, hoping to find someone who could help them save their world. And somehow, they had chosen him. "Why me?" Elias asked, his voice trembling. "I'm just a scientist. I study microbes. I don't know how to fix stars." Siren paused, her luminous eyes locking onto his. For a moment, there was silence. Then, through the translator, came a response that stunned him. "Your kind, special, creative, resilient. Humans hold answers we cannot see." Elias blinked, trying to process what she meant. Was she saying humans possessed qualities unique enough to solve problems beyond their own understanding? It sounded absurd, and yet the weight of her words made him pause. Could humanity really play a role in saving an entire alien species? Before he could ask more questions, Siren stepped back, her form beginning to fade once again. More to say, she whispered into his mind, "Wait for me." And just like that, she was gone, leaving Elias standing alone amidst the icy expanse. As he trudged back to the research station, his mind buzzed with possibilities. Who were the Veileth? What exactly did they expect from him? And most importantly, was he ready to take on such an immense responsibility? For now, all he could do was wait. But deep down, Elias knew his life had changed forever. Whatever Siren wanted, It was only the beginning of something far greater than he could have imagined. The deeper Elias delved into the ancient Valeth device, the more he felt like an archaeologist unearthing forgotten secrets. The core chamber was a vast, cavernous space, filled with towering structures that hummed with latent energy. Glowing runes etched into the walls pulsed faintly, casting shifting patterns of light across the floor. At the center stood the machine itself, a massive, intricate construct resembling a crystalline tree, its branches reaching upward as if trying to touch the sky. Each puzzle Elias solved brought them closer to activating the device, but it also revealed fragments of the Valeth's history. Through holographic projections and telepathic transmissions from Seren, he learned about their ancestors, the Luminaris Asterisk, a highly advanced civilization that had once thrived under the golden glow of their star. The Luminaris were visionaries who believed in harmony between technology and nature, creating wonders that blended seamlessly with their environment. But arrogance had been their downfall. They had tampered too much with forces beyond their control, destabilizing their star in the process. Before their extinction, they built the stabilization device as a last-ditch effort to save future generations, but no one had been able to activate it since. As Elias worked tirelessly alongside Seren and her team, the weight of responsibility grew heavier. Every decision mattered. Every move could mean success or failure. One particularly challenging puzzle involved aligning floating symbols in midair to form constellations representing key moments in Valeth history. When Elias finally completed it, the room erupted in a symphony of lights and sounds, and a new section of the machine roared to life. Despite the progress, doubts lingered among the Council of Elders. Activating the device came at a cost. It would drain immense energy from Valia's planetary reserves, potentially causing temporary instability. Some elders argued against proceeding, fearing further destruction. "We cannot risk losing what little we have left," one elder named Varan said during a heated debate. "Even if this succeeds, will our people survive the aftermath?" Seren stood firm, her voice resonating with quiet authority. "If we do nothing, we condemn ourselves to certain death. This is our only chance." Elias listened intently, his heart pounding. He knew the stakes better than anyone. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward, addressing the council for the first time without hesitation. "I understand your fears," he began, his tone steady despite the nerves coursing through him. "But I've seen how resilient your people are. You've faced challenges before and found ways to endure. This isn't just about saving your planet. It's about proving that you can overcome anything when you work together." He paused, glancing at Seren before continuing. "And it's not just about the Valeth. It's about showing the universe what's possible when different species unite. If we succeed, it won't just be a victory for Valia. It'll be a beacon of hope for everyone out there looking up at the stars." His words hung in the air, met with silence. Then, slowly, the elders began nodding. Caliph spoke on behalf of the council. "Very well. Let us proceed, with caution." With renewed determination, Elias returned to the task at hand. Guided by Seren's insights and his own intuition, he pieced together the final sequence needed to activate the machine. As the last symbol clicked into place, the entire chamber trembled, and the crystalline tree lit up with blinding brilliance. For a moment, Elias feared something had gone wrong. But then, a wave of warmth spread through the room, accompanied by a low, resonant hum. It was done. The dying star stabilized, its red glow fading to a healthier orange hue visible even from the surface. Cheers erupted around him, and tears streamed down many faces, including Seren's. She turned to Elias, her luminous eyes shining brighter than ever. "You've saved us," she whispered. "All of us." In that moment, Elias realized this mission wasn't just about solving puzzles or stabilizing stars. It was about building bridges. And now, those bridges stretched farther than anyone had imagined.